Hello, everybody. Welcome to your very favorite Bronze Age comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. I'm your co-host, Mike L., and as always, I'm joined by
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That's right, and once again, we have a returning guest 2 weeks in a row now. Why don't you tell everybody who's here?
It's our buddy Kevin Jank.
Woo!
Hey, I'm back again.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row.
Can't stay away.
Because last week you joined us for, what did we do last week? Oh,
Wolfpack.
Yeah. Wolfpack, that's right. And I mentioned that this week we'll be doing Dazzler Issue 28 from 1983, and you were very excited. So I extended the invitation, and you were foolish enough to take us up on it. And look, you're back 2 weeks in a row. Look at you.
Yep. You know I love the X-Men books, so any kind of mutant-related book, I'm gonna be in.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here because you're up on all the latest Dazzler news, right? You know her like more recent adventures.
Well, somewhat more recent.
All right.
Not the last couple of years.
Now, Michael, we were talking before the show. You say you're a big fan of Dazzler. You love reading her books. You've read about.
Okay, so I'm sure, you and I, Mike Dell, grew up in the 80s.
Yes.
And my first exposure to Dazzler was in Uncanny X-Men, drawn by Mark Silvestri with the blue costume.
Oh, you're talking to then? No. I remember her from way back.
Oh, really?
Dark Phoenix Saga?
Yeah, like her first appearance, because I wasn't like buying. I actually owned the first issue of the first appearance of Kitty Pryde, 129. So that was like right before Dazzler, right? But I was so little, I didn't know what was going on. But then when I got a little bit older, I bought I had a friend down the street had the collection of the Dark Phoenix Saga.
Oh, really? Okay.
And like Dazzler was in there, like a trade paperback or something. So I think she was in there, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She was introduced there. Yeah. So, I first saw her with Mark Silvestri, Fall of the Mutants era. And then I went back and read the classic X-Men reprints. And then I read, her early appearances by John Byrne and all that. And completely different, look and kind of different style, the way she was written. But I didn't read any of her solo comics until years later, so.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm ever reading a Dazzler solo adventure. And again, this is 1983. Now, Jank, do you know the history of the Dazzler character, how she came to be?
Actually, not really. I'm pretty sure that was her first appearance during the Dark Phoenix Saga, so I guess it's Chris Claremont and John Byrne.
You would guess wrong. Michael,
really?
do you know the origin of the character, Michael?
Well, I know that she was created originally to be a tie-in with with a real pop singer. Right?
Yeah, I'll break it down for you. The Dazzler character started in 1978 when Casablanca Records commissioned Marvel to create a disco singer character for an animated special. And the record company would find a singer to play the role. And the idea was to release an album, the animated series, and the comic book all at once, to cross-promote. Because Casablanca Records, they were big in the 70s. They also released Kiss, Donna Summer, The Village People, and Cher. They were some of the records. But Kiss, and I think it was it the same year, maybe the year before, they released a comic book with Marvel as part of their album release. So Casablanca was trying to cash in on that same thing with the disco. And the idea was to call the character the Disco Queen. That was the original idea. I didn't know any of this, but when I was doing my normal research to see who created Dazzler, I'm like, well, it's got to be Claremont and Byrne, right? But no. The creators are actually credited as Tom DeFalco, Roger Stern, and John Romita Jr.
Right.
Oh.
Because they were the ones assigned to create the character for the cross-promotion idea. And it was Roger Stern's idea to change the name from Disco Queen to Dazzler. So there you go.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Jim Shooter was in charge of writing the animated series treatment. And so, it had to be awesome if Jim Shooter wrote it. It had to be really good. And also, they had a deal to make a feature film then with Filmworks, the production company Filmworks.
Wow.
Yeah, but get a load of this. So Casablanca Records had financial trouble, and they dropped out of the project entirely. But the movie was still a go. But the original Dazzler design done by John Romita Jr., I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of it, but he drew her like Grace Jones.
Ah, okay.
Do you remember Grace Jones?
Yeah, tall black model.
From the Pee-wee's Christmas special.
Yeah, she was into like experimental music, and she was like a model, very tall. She was a villain. She played a villain in the James Bond movie, I think, For Your Eyes Only. If I remember
right,
correctly.
One of those. Yep.
Yeah, so very iconic look, but it looks nothing like what Dazzler looks like today. So why did it change?
Nope.
Because FilmWorks, they wanted to promote Bo Derek, and they wanted Bo Derek to star in the film. So they demanded that Marvel change the character to make her look more like Bo Derek. But then, unfortunately, the film got scrapped when FilmWorks refused to let John Derek, Bo's husband, direct the film. So the whole project fell apart. So Marvel created this character, for this cross-promotion with Casablanca Records, and then an eventual film and an animated series. None of it happened, but they still had the character. So they're like, all right, let's stick her in X-Men. And that's what they did. So,
wow.
Dazzler's first, the character's name is Allison Blaire, and she made her first appearance in X-Men 130 in 1980.
Wasn't it 129? You're right, 130.
Yeah, 129 is Kitty Pryde. Okay. But her mutant gimmick is she can turn sound into light, and she's like, she's still like a disco singer, like when she performs on stage, she puts on the light shows to mesmerize the audience. And they're like, how do you do that? And she's like, it's just crazy technology. She doesn't admit that she's a mutant. She doesn't want people to know.
Yeah. You'd think they'd notice the light is coming out of her body. Like, there's no way to fake that.
Just crazy technology. So she got her own series in 1981, and that's what we're reading here today. And it lasted for 42 issues.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, like I said, I never read any of them. Jank, you said you bought them, but you read a few of them, right?
I bought them as a big lot, and then I never read any of them until this week. I did read a couple this week. That was in my face of trying to get everything X-Men related, so I had to go back and buy all the Dazzler issues.
Yeah, so apparently it was more of a romance comic.
It reads like that.
It focused more on her career and personal life and not so much superhero stuff, because she was actually hiding the fact that she was a mutant. Pretty much for the entire run of the series, she hid the fact that she was a mutant and she wasn't like a superhero. Yeah. She was just a lady trying to go about her business. Even
a lot about her recording her album and the trials and tribulations of an upcoming singing artist and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm going through the creators here. The first 7 issues are written by Tom DeFalco. And then Mike L., you mentioned this guy last week, Danny Fingeroth. He wrote issues 8 through 24 and issue 26.
Right.
Stephen Grant wrote issue 25. We remember him from Punisher fame.
That's right, yep.
Our old buddy Jim Shooter wrote issues 29, 31, 32, and 35. Somebody named Ken McDonald wrote issue 30. Mike Carlin wrote issues 33 and 34.
Yikes.
Linda Grant, I don't know if she's related to Steven, she wrote issue 36. Bob De Natal wrote issue 37.
Bottom of the barrel.
Archie Goodwin wrote issues 38 to 42 to close things out. And then the issue we're reading today was written and drawn by, what's the guy's name? Frank Springer.
Frank Springer,
Yeah, he wrote issues 27 and 28, and we're reading 28 today. But so there you go. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 writers or 10 writers? Yeah. 10
That's
writers.
A recipe for success.
In 42 issues, yeah. That's what you look for consistency in a character. 10 different writers.
Yeah.
In terms of the artists, John Romita Jr. drew the first 3 issues. Mark Bright drew 3 issues later. Paul Chadwick did issues 38 to 42. I never heard of him. Someone named Tom Morgan.
Hold on. Paul Chadwick is the creator of Concrete. He was a big indie creator in the late 80s and 90s.
I've heard of Concrete. All right. Yeah. Tom Morgan drew issue 37. Don't know him. Jeff Isherwood drew issues 34 and 36. Don't know him. And then our buddy Frank Springer drew the majority of the issues. I think he did where is it? I wrote it down here. 29 issues of Dazzler between issues 4 and 35. So,
whoa,
he was like the regular guy there for the most part.
Did you do any research on him? We're going to talk about him later.
Yeah, we'll talk about him later. Cool. Also, our buddy Bill Sienkiewicz painted the cover for this issue.
Yeah,
and he did painted covers. he did painted covers for issues 27 through 35, but he had also drawn 5 issues earlier on in the run, but he did the painted ones later. So, and when this series ended then, or maybe it was right at the end of the run, but in October of 84, there was a graphic novel about the Dazzler. It's called Dazzler the Movie.
Yes, right. I own that as well.
Wow. Did you ever read it?
Nope, not yet.
Well, you're in for a treat because it was written by Jim Shooter.
Woo!
And it was, and it was drawn by Frank Springer. But if it's one thing Jim Shooter knows how to do, it's write women. Apparently, the plot of Dazzler the Movie has some old record executive try to rape Dazzler. She fights him off, but then she falls in love with him.
Oh my God.
That old chestnut.
Hell.
So that's Jim Shooter doing Jim Shooter things in 1984.
How history's greatest romances start.
That's right. So then also in 1984, this, like, I guess the plot of the Dazzler the movie, the fact that she's a mutant is exposed to the world, so it kind of ruins her career and her career tanks. So then after that, we get Beauty and the Beast, 1984, a 4-issue limited series with Dazzler and Blue Furry Beast. How about that?
It's terrible, yeah.
Well, do you know who wrote it, Michael?
Was it Al Milgram?
It was our beloved Innocenti.
Oh, you! Sorry, Ann. Sorry, I love Innocenti, but that was not good.
Oh.
And it was drawn by Don Perlin. Bill Sienkiewicz did the covers, but they were drawn, not painted. And so there you go. Dazzler was going to be a founding member of X Factor. We mentioned this before, but then they decided to bring Jean Grey back. So
right.
She came in. And she joined the X-Men officially in issue 214 in 1987. That was right after the Mutant Massacre when she was possessed by Malice. Do you remember that Marauder? Malice? So there you go. Now Jank, she's still been in the X-Men all these years?
No, she was very off and on. Like, she spent most of the 90s, I would say, in Mojo world, in the Mojo verse, because like her and Longshot were pretty much married, and like they were fighting for freedom in the Mojo verse, and then they kind of just lost track of that whole thing in a big way. And all of a sudden, like Longshot was back, but he didn't have his memory, and like she came back to the X-Men for a little bit, but she wouldn't talk about what happened, and then they just kind of forgot about it. And she was kind of on and off again with the X-Men over the next couple of years. Like, she would kind of be, touring, I guess, and then she'd come back for a little bit. She was never like fully committed to the hero thing.
Yeah, I guess during the course of this series, she kind of switched from being a singer to being an actress as well. As it went on, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess Dazzler the movie, she'd have to be.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense. And I guess Dazzler appeared in one of those most recent X-Men films. Is that correct? Like
yes, portrayed by Halston Sage from the Orville, and she is absolutely beautiful. Please look her up, Halston Sage Dazzler. She's in the film for about a second and a half, so you don't get too much of her. Yeah. But
that's about what they did with most of the people in those movies.
Right. But she does a great job, though.
They have no lines.
Yeah. She did a great job in that second and a half. She was awesome. So, all right, I guess in terms of the Dazzler character, I guess her deal is that her mother was a young performer, like a happy-go-lucky, live by the seat of your pants kind of lady. And she married a fella who was kind of like a little older and a stickler for the roles. I guess opposites attract. So then when they had Allison, the mom just hit the bricks. She just took off. Yikes. She left the daughter and just went, to live like the old meandering lifestyle of a singer, dancer, or whatever, stripper. I don't know, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And her dad is like a judge, and he wanted her to be following his footsteps and become a lawyer. And she rebelled, and she wanted to be a singer like her mom. Even though her mom abandoned her. So that caused a lot of strife between her and her dad. And, he like kicked her out of the house or whatever. And then she went and followed her passion of being a singer.
Yeah. So apparently, I guess her mom like cleaned up her act eventually, but she married some other guy who was like an abusive alcoholic and had another daughter. that I guess has just recently come into Dazzler's life again.
Right.
Issue we're going to be reading today.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds exactly like this issue.
Yep.
So, yeah, we'll figure that out today. Michael, anything else about the Dazzler you'd like to mention?
Not much. Other than, when I was a kid, I had a crush on her.
Yeah.
For sure. She looked good and drawn by Mark Silvestri. So
yeah, Silvestri was great. I was a big fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good times. She was my second favorite character in the X-Men arcade game. Nightcrawler number 1, Dazzler number 2.
Oh, you know what? I got to say one other thing. You guys do remember the Pride of the X-Men cartoon pilot, right?
Yes.
Because
I actually just watched it not too long ago. Like a couple months back, I saw it on YouTube, and I watched a little bit of it. Yeah.
Now, don't you agree that it was better than what we got with the 90s TV show? The 90s cartoon? Yeah.
I think right now. The 90s.
What's that?
Amazing. It was the best show ever.
Oh, man. I don't get it. See, for me, like, coming in, like, and this is the same, like, all those 90s shows, I came in having already read comics for, 10 years. So, I don't know. I mean, for me, I was just like, I loved what they did with Pride of the X-Men. And then when the second one came out, I was like, what the hell is this? Even the lineup, because the reason I brought it up is because Dazzler's in Pride of the X-Men. But for the 90s show, they dropped her, they dropped Colossus, they dropped all these, certain characters. So most kids that grew up in that era, they're not as attached to those ones, right? Because they weren't in the show. So that just kind of bothered me.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it's not like Dazzler was like a mainstay of the X-Men. She was around for a little bit.
Yeah,
She's not like one of the original 5 or even the second team. Like, she kind of came in for a little bit and then left.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, how could you cut Dazzler?
I would have liked to have seen her, but anyway.
Yeah. I wouldn't be mad about it. They did have her on the 90s show eventually when they did the Dark Phoenix saga, and she had a very deep voice. It was very like a Kathleen Turner type of voice.
Not what I I don't remember that, but that's not what I would imagine her sounding like.
No.
In
very,
many
like Allison Blaire from Yaz or something like that.
In Michael's very nightly fantasies of Dazzler, that's not how she sounds.
Exactly.
Much different. She sounds like that girl from the Orville. Whatever her name.
Yeah, Halston Sage. Oh.
I know what kind of noise Mike Dell's gonna be making that she's gonna turn into light.
That's right. Turn those noises into light. All right, so let's look at the book. Issue 28, again, 1983. Mike L. described this cover. Bill Sienkiewicz.
Well, this cover is beautiful. It's Bill Sienkiewicz, fully painted. Basically, Dazzler in her outfit, which is kind of like a white, I don't know what you'd call this, just like a white bodysuit.
Like a disco jumpsuit.
Yeah. Like it's full body, one piece, but it's like bell bottom. It's what's that called? It flares at the bottom, like a bell bottom.
Yeah. And look, I didn't even realize, but she's wearing roller skates. She's wearing roller skates.
Yeah. And then she has like a big collar, like it's because it's the 70s. And she has like her little, I think that's a mask, right? Or is this makeup?
I think it's like face paint. Yeah. Like eye makeup.
Yeah, it's just eye makeup and shadow. That's all it is.
Right. But it's just, I mean, Bill Sienkiewicz is one of my favorite artists. Like, this is just amazing.
It really is.
Kind of like, it's kind of like, it's hard to describe it if you don't look at it, but it's like her one hand is like all light, and then there's kind of like this pattern. It's sort of like light, but it's painted, so it's basically, it's somewhat abstract, so it's hard to describe, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, and it's all like pinks and purples and black.
Like realistic too at the same time. It's like, this is what it would look like if this was a real person.
Yeah, you're right. He's a great artist. Like, he's just, he can do like absolute photorealistic, or he can do exaggeration, or he can do abstract. Like, he can do anything. So, and then unfortunately we're stuck with this really ugly logo right next to it. That just looks like an ugly 70s logo. But
yeah, they put the logo, instead of across the top, it's on the left side.
Right.
I kind of like that
on the side.
Yeah,
it's
interesting.
Not bad.
Like, yeah,
it's along the spine of the book there, and it says Dazzler. It's pink and purple, and the whole color scheme is for the cover is like purple and pinks and black, and but it's awesome. So
I like the cover box is like classy. They're like, oh, we can't put like this stupid little picture of somebody's face or like sticking up there in that corner box. It's like Marvel Comics Group, no messing around, just clean text. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a classy book until you get in the inside and you're like, no.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then we've got like the Marvel. Like, there was a period where Marvel had like for their direct sales books, they had an M instead of just like a regular square. Oh yeah, we should point out. I think Dazzler was the first comic exclusively sold in comic book stores. It was the first one. Yeah, I believe it was the first one. So that's another kind of like milestone. So that's why it's got the M there. Because when I was a kid, I remember the ones in the comic shops had the M and the ones on the newsstand didn't. So that's how you could tell the difference. And then at the bottom, instead of a UPC box, is the picture of Spider-Man face. So
I always knew that was different.
Yep.
So anyways, we get our classy comic book here that we crack the cover, and all of a sudden it's not so classy.
But look at the top there, the Stan Lee Presents. Usually they'd have a big like paragraph explaining the character or whatever. Remember? But now it just says the shining superstar, Dazzler.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
That's what you get when you get a character that was just created for like a tie-in for a real singer. They didn't put a lot of thought into it.
And so it's funny because it's actually I haven't read many like non-X-Men Rogue appearances, so I was actually surprised she was here, and I was kind of happy. But this is like pre-X-Men, pre-Good Guy Rogue, so she's, I don't know if you know this, but they essentially de-aged her. Like, they didn't in-story de-age her, but they portrayed her as being younger once she joined the team. But at this point, I think she's supposed to be middle-aged, and she obviously looks different. Her costume's different. And what she's doing is, instead of having a punching bag, she has this like a stack of bricks made into like a punching bag with Dazzler painted on top of them. It's ridiculous.
Awesome.
And she's smashing it, like she's punching it, and she's saying, "Take that and that and that and that and that and that." And then it says she is Rogue of the Sisterhood of Evil Mutants, which, by the way, I didn't know existed.
Yeah, neither did I. And I looked it up. You know what? It doesn't exist.
It doesn't?
It doesn't exist. Yeah, like this was the only time it was ever mentioned. Like I tried to find out like the history of the Sisterhood of Evil Mutants, like if they actually did break off from the Brotherhood at some point, but this is the only reference I could ever find to it was in Dazzler in these couple issues.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Hey, by the way, real quick, I forgot to do research on Rogue, but does anybody know her first appearance?
Avengers Annual number 10.
Yeah.
Look at Mike L. Bang. 1981. Who created her, Mike L?
Well, I believe Chris Claremont and Michael Golden, right?
That is correct. Look at that.
Anyway.
This is a very different Rogue. Yeah, I can definitely see where Chris Claremont changed a lot of things because she's not even like conflicted. She's already got Miss Marvel's personality in there, but she's just like, I'm a fucking villain and I like punching people.
Right.
Even though she didn't do anything to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is weird because, she's punching out this thing and then she's lifting up this barbell with like, it looks like...
we should mention, did you mention the title of the issue?
Vendetta.
Yeah, and look at the exclamation point in Vendetta at the bottom of the page. A little knife, a little dagger.
Yeah. Kapow, cool. Above that. Yeah, so she's obsessed with Dazzler. She's pissed. So she's
because Dazzler's beating her up in a couple other previous issues.
Right.
So she's basically working out in like a bargain basement
danger room, exactly. Yeah. And so she's got like this barbell with these two like car engines or transmissions or whatever they are on them. And she's like one, a two, a three, and she's like, doing like sets with this barbell. And then in the next, and this is like a montage, it's not panels, but then in the next one, she's like throwing darts at this picture of Dazzler. And then in the last one, she's got her feet up and she's pushing up this like gigantic coil that's like pushing down on her, I guess, to test her leg strength. And then we cut over and we realize that Mystique and what's her name, Destiny, are actually in the room with her, and they're like chatting it up, and they're talking about how much she hates Dazzler. And then, Rogue gives us the benefit of flashing back to the last time she tangled with Dazzler, right?
Yeah,
and lost.
I went back and read those issues, by the way.
Oh, good, you get the backstory. All right. Yeah. And I should also point out there's a lot of backstory in this issue. A lot of like references to old stories. Yeah.
This is clearly tying up like a whole, the last 8 issues or so.
Right. And then Rogue's like, but like a bad penny, she just kept coming back, all charged up and wiped us out. I can't figure it. All she's got's a bunch of hokey light powers, but I'm rogue. I'm not gonna do her accent, but so basically,
they went overboard with the accent in this one.
Yeah,
like, I always remember her having the southern accent, but this one she's like Foghorn Leghorn basically.
Right.
Also, and we should mention this: she's wearing the old green rogue outfit like that she originally had when she came into the X-Men, like old school. But her hair, like you mentioned, is much shorter, and look at the white streaks. There's one on each side of her head, like not in the middle of the hair. Like,
it's almost, that's what I mean. It's like she's supposed to be just old with like gray hair. It's kind of weird.
Like the Reed Richards.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. And it seems like Destiny is much younger in this. Because
that's true.
Later on, they always show her as like a grandmother or something.
Totally right. Right.
Yeah.
And so then we cut over again. This is really weird. We cut into like the middle of a scene that obviously picks up from last issue, and I barely know what the hell's going on. Kevin, Jake, did you read last issue?
I skimmed it. I didn't have time to read it, but I kind of skimmed through it.
Well, Jake, you can explain what's happening here.
So I think 2 issues before this, Lois, who is Dazzler's sister, she
was it half sister?
Yeah, half sister, I think. Yeah, half sister, who has recently just come into her life. She is discovering that she is a mutant as well. She started getting like faint and stuff, and then she got attacked by some like homeless guy in an alley, and she ended up like draining the life force out of him unintentionally. So he died, and basically like somebody started sending pictures of this, this guy's death, being like, and basically blackmailing them, being like, hey, if you don't go kill this guy, I'm going to tell the cops. And so Dazzler and her sister were kind of on the run for the last issue, and they've kind of been trying to figure out what to do. And they did end up going to this guy's house to try and kill him or figure something out, because they want the blackmailer wants them to kill some guy.
Yeah, this is where it gets weird.
Old man.
So the guy who took pictures of the sister killing the homeless guy is trying to blackmail them into killing this guy.
Right.
So they show up, but the Angel gets involved somehow, Jank, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because he's been around in a bunch of these recent issues. I guess they are pretty good friends, like him and Angel, or him and Dazzler.
I know there was a cover earlier on where they were kissing, so I guess they were an idol.
Yeah, Dazzler. It seems like she got around in these issues.
Yeah,
she's got a different fella every issue.
Hey, and I just looked up her sister, and apparently she becomes someone named Mortis.
Really?
Yeah, I remember
Mortis, Jank.
This was probably like the 2010s or so. She kind of came back. I think it was like Selene was involved, and she was kind of manipulating her. And Selene did this whole thing where she was, bringing people back to life. And I don't know. She kind of manipulated Mortis into being one of her helpers.
Wow. One of her powers is a death touch.
Yeah. That's what she used on the homeless guy. So and Mike Dell, I don't want to tell you this because you'll probably hate her now, but I think she killed a cat too with her powers.
What?
Yeah, she didn't mean to.
Oh, goodness. She's dead to me too. I just used my death touch on Lois Blaire.
Just used your death touch on your excitement pole.
Yes. So Angel shows up to try and what's he trying to do here? Prevent them from killing him? I don't understand. What's happening here?
Yeah, I don't know. He's trying to help them out of whatever jam they're in, and he ends up getting shot.
Yeah, is it the blackmailer who's also the guy's butler? Is that what's happening? If I remember properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shoots Angel. But, it's just one of those gunshot wounds that don't really hurt or injure you in any way. It just,
Oh.
makes you hold your side for a while, but you're fine.
This whole sequence is very awkward and confusing.
Well, it gets more awkward because who is the guy in the bed that they were going to kill?
I don't remember.
Lois's daddy.
Daddy.
Oh, right. Right.
What a coincidence.
Yeah. It's just awkward. Easy, Warren. It's only a flesh wound. Don't make it worse.
Yeah.
It's just rough.
But you can see, this is very much a romance comic angle, right? About the lost sisters and the father.
Right.
Blackmail and,
Yeah, Yeah, which could have been good. Which could be good, but it wasn't.
I gotta say, for a thing that they've been building up a couple of issues with them going on the run and being fugitives and stuff, it gets wrapped up real quickly here. They're just like, yeah, whatever. The pictures prove that she self-defense.
And you think they would wrap it up, if it's such a big plot going on, that they would wrap it up right at the start of the issue. Like if you ended last issue with Angel getting shot or something, or what's going on, like you think you would start the next issue with that immediately, but we get that rogue stuff ahead of time. So that makes this seem almost like an afterthought.
Right. You know? Good point.
Yeah. I don't know. I like when the cops show up at the end. Hey, police officers, I think we'll hear the rest of this story at headquarters. Yeah. They had overheard like the confession and stuff. And there you go. That's done.
But wait. The other cop says, I owe you an apology, Mr. Barnett. That guy does have wings. And then Dazzler's like, Ken. And at the bottom it says, Ken Barnett is an old flame of Allison's. So
another old flame. This guy's got red curly hair and a mustache. Mm-hmm. He's like a quarter pounder away from being Ronald McDonald, this guy. But, he's pretty good.
Then there's a lot of talking and explaining and backstory and
Well, the redheaded dude, I guess what is he?
He's a lawyer.
Attorney?
Yeah.
Well, he says the fella who was going to blackmail him was carrying more photographs of that incident involving Lois and the derelict, and they show conclusively that Lois was clearly defending herself.
Right.
Because,
problem solved.
Still images can show that conclusively.
Right, and because Napier, the guy who was trying to blackmail Lois, was carrying more photographs of that incident, blah, blah, and then he goes, and get this, the official cause of death was cardiac arrest, a heart attack. Thanks for explaining that. And then he's like, the findings, when submitted to a judge or a grand jury in the future, will result in a dismissal of all charges, I'm sure. But then, on the next page, Lois says, but I know what did happen. I saw the aura of energy crackling around my hand, an aura that evidently does not photograph. That poor derelict did attack me, and the official cause of death may have been shown heart attack, but in my mind, it was still murder. How can I live with... and then she gets cut off. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I was just going to say, she's saying this, but it just in her mind, though. Like, she's not speaking this out loud, even though they put it in quotes. Right. But they put it in boxes instead of dialogue balloons to, I guess, convey that she's... You think they would just put it in thought balloons to make it clear.
Right. And it's just so awkward because then she gets interrupted because then all of a sudden, Allie, what's wrong? There's music. She's like, that music, it's the record I cut in New York. Turn it up, please, driver. It's just on to the next thing, Oh, man.
Murder cases are one thing, but this is a hit single. Come on.
Yeah.
And the DJ says, and that was a brand new single waxed by our newest singing sensation, Allison Blaire. It's climbing the charts and headed for Pittsburgh. Next on the Moonbeam, we have some solid gold from the Groove Yard. But first, click, they turn it off. I wanted to hear what was on the Moonbeam.
Dialogue there.
Do you use that phrase all the time, Mike Dell?
Yeah, works with the ladies.
Yeah.
So
then here's a Taylor Swift song. That's headed for Pittsburgh.
So then this Lois's dad, who I guess is, I'm so confused about the relations here. Like he made Sweet Sweet Love to her mom, to Allison's mom.
This is the second husband who, after Allison's mom left her dad, she hooked up with this guy.
And it turns out this guy's an alcoholic and abusive because he seems very nice.
Yeah, he seems very nice here.
Yeah, because he seems, hey, we can make some contacts for you here in California. Perhaps you can meet Roman Nicabo. Roman Nicabo?
Yeah. That's a weird name.
Yeah, I know. The biggest singing star of our age? You don't really know him, do you? Know him. I own him. Look out. Yeah, but you think you don't hear too many guys named Roman Nicabo becoming famous. They probably change that at some point.
Yeah. Yep. Roman Cruz.
So Mike L., while they're talking about Roman Nicabo, what happens?
So then basically they pull into like the mansion here, and standing up on like the entrance is Rogue, and Rogue leaps off of his pillar to the gate and leaps onto the top of the limousine or whatever, and is like, ta-da, nice to see you, y'all. And then it's so weird because then there's this gigantic, you know, 3 bubbles of dialogue of her talking to Allison as she's pulling her out of the car. Surprised to see me, ain't you, sugar? And then she just goes on and on and on. Yes. And then she kicks the door with her high heel, and then Allison's on the ground, and there's 3 more bubbles of dialogue. Then she does
Michael, this is kind of like Silver Age kind of stuff, right? Like they put in all that dialogue.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's just rough, yeah. And then she like does a flying kick into the door, then she punches the door, and then she's like, I don't know why she's going crazy on the car.
Well, she's trying to lock them in the car. She's busting the door so they can't get out of the car.
Yeah. Trapping then she wants to rip out the horn so that Dazzler can't get any sound to use.
Yeah, so but none of these other people know she's Dazzler though, do they?
Her sister definitely does.
Oh, okay.
I think the lawyer guy does.
Oh, all right. Well, then that's lucky, because otherwise they would have just ruined her sacred identity with Rogue talking about it.
Right. So she's like, and just in case you're thinking about having one of your buddies hit the horn so you can use your powers, forget it. When I'm done trashing this limo's engine, there ain't going to be enough left to stuff in a stocking. And then she's like ripping wires out and like pieces of metal, and it's like totally destroyed. And then the next page, and it's funny because I do think Frank Springer is a good artist, but he's very awkward at drawing action.
Yeah. Because he's a romance guy, really.
Right. And so,
but I like his art, though. I'll talk about it later. But me too. I like this panel because Allison's running away, Dazzler's running away, and he shows her like running out of the panel, like she goes down into the next panel.
Here's the thing: is that's cool, but look at her leg. Her leg should be like coming towards us, so it should be a little bit larger, but it actually is a little bit smaller. So
because it's it's the romance genre of art.
Small feet,
It's not the Jack Kirby kind of thing.
Right. So then she's running away, and it's weird because, again, it's like this is not in real time because there's all this dialogue and all these thought bubbles, and Rogue has superpowers. She has the powers of Ms. Marvel. And
she can fly.
Yeah, and she can fly, and Allison has time to run like 50 feet, find a garage, see a car, go into the garage, start the car. Meanwhile, what is Rogue waiting for?
But I think Rogue says, run anywhere your little heart desires. It's going to be a pleasure watching you hightail it like a jackrabbit. So I guess she's just playing with her, toying with her, letting her run. But but notice in the third panel on that page, the one that goes all the way across the page, if you look closely at Dazzler there, she's excited.
Oh, yes. good eye there, Mike Dell. Yep.
Well, a good chase will do that to you.
Yeah. You never have to worry about me noticing that. But, she's wearing a very low-cut red blouse. And, she's excited.
Yeah.
All right.
She finds... Doing that much run. You don't want to chase.
Exactly. So she finds some old cars in the garage because they're on the estate of this rich dude who her half father is, or what would her father? That would be her what? What's her relation? Half
stepfather?
Half stepdaddy? I don't know. Very confusing. But they find this old like 1930s kind of yellow convertible car, and she gets in it, and luckily the keys are in the ignition. So,
right.
Mm-hmm.
That is lucky.
And
had the keys in it.
And then she basically honks the horn, so then she's able to use her powers, convert the sound of the horn into light energy lasers, and shoots Rogue. And then Rogue ends up coming down and grabbing onto the back bumper, but the back bumper rips off. So Dazzler is able to get away, but Rogue is still running. Then she jumps onto the side, kind of like back side of the car. And then this is my favorite scene is she's holding onto the side of the car, and again, there's tons of thought bubbles as Allison's thinking, and then she's driving around trying to shake her off. She can't get her off. She's going around trees. It doesn't work. So finally, she sees this big tree, and then Rogue looks over, and she's like, "Hey, you gone loco or what, lady? You heading this heap straight towards that tree?" And then bang, kablam! She smashes into the tree and knocks Rogue off. And also knocks off the spare tire.
Able to fly and doesn't need to hang on to this car at all.
Right.
Once.
So but again, Rogue has superpowers, so she's okay. So then Allison keeps driving And then she comes to like this fence, and there's this great line of dialogue: "A fence and the outside beyond." And so she does like a figure 8, and then drives around, smashes through the fence to get away, and then splang. Splang. She's still not off the property. Now she comes into an airport. She's like, "An airfield. I'm still on the estate. That must be Nick Brown's private aircraft." So then Rogue is flying towards her still. But then she manages to... this is kind of awkward. Is she flying under the jets? No. Well, suddenly she stands on the brakes and leans on the horn. Oh, that's what she is. Yeah, she activates the horn so she can shoot her lasers again. Shoots Rogue. Now Rogue is kind of like almost knocked out, but not quite. And then Allison gets onto... she climbs into the top of this jet and like... Yeah. It opens up the cockpit. She's like, "Oh no, it's already open. I'm in luck. The cockpit's open. Now to see what the inside of this thing looks like." Uh-oh. It's all these complicated controls.
Who'd have thought there'd be so many buttons?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, keep in mind,
the lever.
This is that guy's private airfield, and like he has like I guess passenger jets and commercial planes. This is apparently a fighter jet. It just has a cockpit up front.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems weird that you would have a fighter jet, but all right.
And he leaves it open. That's asking for a lot.
Well, the keys are in the ignition. Yeah.
So yeah,
she just starts hammering buttons, Michael, to try and start it up, right?
Right, or make noise or do something. So then she ends up, she's like, I think she's almost turns on a jet engine here, and then Rogue's like, I think I see what she's trying to do. She ain't stupid. She's not trying to fly that buggy. She just wants to start it. And then we see like the jet engine like vow. Is that what this says? Vow. Yeah. Vow. And then the next one, roar. Got to get this canopy open. And this is Rogue. Before, too late. And then all this light spills out. And now she's in full Dazzler mode, right? And then she knocks Rogue off of the plane. Rogue falls over, and she's like shooting her with her lasers. And then Rogue's down for the count. But then what happens is the jet is still kind of moving. And so... She's like, so Rogue jumps on Dazzler. Dazzler kicks her off. Dazzler shoots her again, and then she's down. But then what happens is the jet is turning, and then it says barely conscious. She stumbles back from the relentless barrage, and then, oh no, Rogue, the air intake, don't. So Rogue's about to get sucked into the jet air intake, but Allison, is a superhero, and so she can't let her get killed, right? Because that would be murder. So then she leaps through the air and pushes Rogue out of the way, out of harm's way, and so now Rogue is okay. And then
happy ending for everyone.
Yeah, so then she grabs her, and again, there's still 2 minutes worth of reading on this last. There's all this text, but she's thinking is she's like dragging Rogue by her the back of her collar, and then this is funny. She dumps her into the trunk and just leaves the trunk open, and then just drives down the highway with Rogue in the trunk. It's funny.
And her plan is to turn Rogue over to the police. They're going to be able to stop this super strong woman.
Right. And then at the bottom it says, next, more on Lois London, Nick Brown, and Roman Nekaba, plus a brand new villainess, all in fame. There you go. The end.
Well, let's read this final panel, though. Now I've got to get back to get those folks out of the crushed limo, and then I've got a sister to help and a career to pursue. And if the money starts to come in from my hit record, I might even ask to buy this buggy from Nick Brown. Something for the girl who has everything. Yeah, ... everything. And there you go. That's like the romance stuff, like all the personal problems. Yeah. And so, yeah, this is very much a
this
romance.
Car's been through a lot.
Yeah, would you really want to buy that car? You drove it into a tree. It lost its spare tire and everything else.
Ripped off.
Yeah, that's right. But this is very much a romance book with a superhero character, not a superhero book with romance angles.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different. But so, Michael, when you read the other ones, when that Danny Fingeroth guy was writing, is that how they all were written?
Yeah, I would say pretty much the same. Yeah, it's always talking about her record career, her relationship with her mother, her relationship with her boyfriend. So yeah, definitely more romance for sure.
Yeah, she's very rarely in the costume. It's mostly fighting in her regular clothes.
Yeah,
which to me.
The costume is kind of like that one-piece white jump bodysuit
right
on the cover.
It's almost like this is a 70s TV show adaptation. You know, like when they would do Wonder Woman or the Hulk, it's like, okay, we've only got a budget to show the Hulk twice. Or, you know, you know what I mean? That's what it's like. It's like, well, we don't really want it to be a superhero show. She could have a costume, but she only puts it on here and there. And that's what it feels like.
That is a very good comparison.
Yep.
So
you know what she does do a lot is she loves throwing on the fucking roller skates, even at horribly times. Like I read issue 22, and like they're in the woods, and she's like, "I gotta put my skates on." I'm like,
she's in the
why
woods.
would you do
that? There's a later issue. I can't remember, but Sienkiewicz does a painted cover for it, so maybe around 32 or something. Where on the cover she's like roller derbying it up, where she's got this little shorts and the skates, and there's a roller derby team behind her. It's an awesome cover. But,
did you see that Sienkiewicz cover that was like parodying Thriller?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
That one's great.
Yeah. So, all right. The creator here, again, the writer and artist, is Frank Springer. He was born in New York in 1929. Sadly, he passed away in 2009 at the age of 79. He got his art degree from Syracuse University. He served 2 years in the Army, and then he started doing freelance work around New York. He got a gig as the assistant for artist George Wonder on the comic strip Terry and the Pirates.
Really?
Pirates. I've always heard of that strip, but I never read it or anything.
Yeah, I've never read it. I've heard much about it, though.
He got into comic books in 1962 with Dell Comics. No relation. In 1965, he teamed with writer Michael O'Donoghue to create The Adventures of Phoebe Zeitgeist, a serialized adult comic series for the Evergreen Review literary magazine. It was for mature readers, so you know what that means. Boobs.
Yeah.
Boobs. That's right. He was drawing naked ladies. Now, do you guys know who Michael O'Donoghue was?
No, I don't think so. Nope.
He was on the early seasons of Saturday Night Live. He would do occasional bits.
Oh, yes. Okay, I remember him.
He did one thing where he did an imitation of Tony Orlando and Dawn if they had giant metal spikes in their eyes.
Okay. Sounds awesome.
And he just rolled around on the stage screaming and holding his face. So, yeah. I go with Tony. Sadly, he died at he was only like 47 when he died of a brain aneurysm or something.
Ooh, that's rough.
That sucks. Anyway, and a happier note, Frank Springer went on to draw Batman, issue 197 in 1967. That was like his first work at DC, Michael. Batman.
Nice.
I think he also did some heroes for, what did they call it? H is for Heroes, or whatever that was?
Oh, Dial H for Hero.
Yeah, I think he did some of that or something. So he started doing regular work with Marvel in 1968. He took over Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Steranko left.
Nice.
He did issues 4, 6, through 11. And then he drew 29 issues of Dazzler, like we mentioned, from issues 4 to 35. He drew 8 issues of US 1 in 1983. Michael, tell the kids what US 1 is.
Oh, I never read it, but that's the motorcycle team.
No.
No, that's a truck one, ain't it?
Yeah, it's an 18-wheeler.
Oh, never read it.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll do it on air because, he's a truck driver superhero. His superpower is he has a CB. I really he's just a truck driver. He also did some G.I. Joe and Transformers, Michael.
That's right. That's why I know I know from Transformers number 2, 3, and 4, I think.
Yeah, he did a few, and he did a good bit of G.I. Joe, like not a good bit, but maybe about 6 G.I. Joes or so.
Mm-hmm.
He also did a lot of inking, and he had extended inking runs on the Invaders, Peter Parker and the Spectacular Spider-Man, the Savage She-Hulk, Coyote. Michael, you own Coyote, don't you? That's something you bought but never read, right? Coyote.
Oh, Steve Englehart, right? Yeah. Yep, I got the whole series. Never read it.
And he also inked the entire Vision and Scarlet Witch, the 12-issue miniseries.
Ah, nice.
Now, his writing credits, he only has 3. He was co-credited with Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. issue 10, I think with Gary Friedrich as well, or co-credited there. And then he did Dazzler's issues 27 and 28. So that's it.
Do you think they just couldn't get anybody else, and they're just like, well,
I think that's what it was.
On it.
Yep.
So,
wow.
I can see why.
But yeah, he's not really the writing here. What you mentioned going throughout, it's very it's oddly paced. Like you said, in action scenes, there's so much dialogue and
right.
Holy hell. But yeah, it's very much, it reads like a romance comic, not a superhero comic. Anything else about the writing, Michael?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty terrible. That's all I can say. Like, very awkward. Like, everything you just said. Like, so it's just the amateur mistakes. Like, yeah, way too much dialogue and confusing. Like, all those like, jumping into a story and just, you're totally confused. You have no idea what's going on. Like, yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, I don't mind the over dialoguing of it because I feel like that was just comics back then. They pretty much all did that, so I can't ding them for that. But the storytelling wasn't great. The pacing and the plotting were kind of all over the place.
Right.
And so what about? I actually like the art here because again, it is a classic like romance style art. So as long as you accept that and just embrace it, it's really good. But if you're looking for like Jack Kirby, John Buscema kind of stuff, you're not going to get it. You know?
No, and also when Frank Springer inked himself, I think he inked himself on Transformers number 3 or 4. It's amazing. It's so good. And so, yeah, that's why I'm a fan of him, because I know like how good he can be.
There's just some really good panels in here too. I like when Dazzler is like zapping Rogue once and for all, like really knocking her out. And there's like the rainbow colors coming off.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I love that panel.
That's a great panel. I love the panel when Dazzler emerges from the cockpit. That's pretty good too. But I like when Rogue is chasing Dazzler and she's driving the car. It's the bottom left on page. I don't even freaking know. I think it's before they run into the tree. It's when she first latches onto the side of the car. But that panel in the bottom left there, Rogue's in the background running, and you get the tilted picture of Dazzler looking over her shoulder. I think that's really good.
Oh yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. She was excited in that one panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Basically, yeah, he knows how to draw beautiful women for sure.
Yeah, and it's a simplistic style. Yeah, the faces all look very attractive, and good looking ladies.
I gotta say, Rogue didn't look so good, but I've been guessing that was just because that's what they told him to do.
Right.
Is maybe she was supposed to be older and look like Barbara Bush.
Now that you mention it, that is not a bad comparison. But, so yeah, I actually like the art quite a bit.
Me too.
Jank, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I agree. Good job. Right. Definitely better than Wolfpack last week.
Yes.
Yeah, you can say that.
I agree. And also, but just in terms of the book, I love the fact that there's a fight, I like a good hero supervillain fight. I mean, you get a car chase.
It was a good fight. Most of the book, yeah. That fight went on for a while.
Yeah, so I like that. So overall, I'd probably give it a 6. I could even be talked into a 7 if you want to give credit to the Sienkiewicz cover.
Really?
As well.
What would you base it if the art wasn't so good?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't be. Yeah, the writing is not good, but the art is really good. Like I like the art. So
I just sent you guys 6. I just sent you guys a clip of his art on Transformers number 4. Look at those ladies at the top. It's good stuff. But anyway, yeah. Here's the thing. I think the art is great. Like, I love Frank Springer, but this script is terrible. So, like, the highest I can go is a 4. But the cover is great, too. The cover is really good.
The cover bumps it up a couple notches.
Jank?
I think I'm going to go 6 as well. I would probably go higher, but of the Dazzler issues I read this week, this was probably the weakest.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so I like the other one slightly better. They had a better, I don't know, they balanced things better to me. But the art was pretty good, and the story wasn't terrible, so I liked it. I liked it well enough. It's above average.
Yeah, it's just Rogue trying to get revenge on Dazzler. It's good stuff. Sure, the blackmail murder stuff was a little weird, but
once they got that out of the way, then it was fine. Yeah.
See, one thing I'll give Dazzler credit for is no matter how bad the series is, it always makes me want to read more.
Yeah, I can see that.
There is something about it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind checking out another Dazzler at some point. Yeah.
Yep.
It is kind of tough that like your main character only just basically turns sound into light, like laser blasts. So it's not like you can have a lot of interesting fights. It's just her shooting lasers at things.
Well, they branched out later. Like she would do like those little light shows to like confuse and like hypnotize people, and remember all that?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
That's pretty cool. It does make me definitely want to go back and reread like the issues when Dazzler came into the X-Men, because Rogue was on the team at the time, so that must have been awkward.
Yeah, I can't remember if they ever even they had to have mentioned it, right?
No. Dazzler came in at 130, but Rogue didn't join until like 180 or something.
No, Dazzler made an appearance.
No, when she joined. Yeah.
She didn't
join you're right. That's right. I always think she joined right away. Yeah. Okay.
They asked her to join, and she turned them down
because
she wanted to focus on her singing career. Right. She was just in that one issue. Yeah.
Do you remember? Go ahead.
And let me just say, the reason she was in that issue is because the Hellfire Club and the X-Men had both detected a mutant presence, and they were both trying to like recruit her, and they descend on a nightclub where she's performing, and they fight and stuff. Yeah.
I always was bothered by the very, very first time that Cyclops meets Dazzler, and he's like, call me, or hold on a sec here, I'm just opening it, but she's like, call me Dazzler, darling. Of course, she says darling too, right? Of course, everyone's got to say darling, the X-Men. But she's like, call me Dazzler, darling. That's my name. That's what I do, dazzle people. And then Cyclops is like, have you ever wondered where your light powers come from? Nope. What? You just suddenly get the ability to convert light, or sound into light lasers, and you don't ever question where it comes from. I always just thought that was bad.
Don't overthink it. Just embrace the fact that you have light powers.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, check out Halston Sage. Pardon me. Anyway.
All right, so there it is, Dazzler.
That's right.
Any closing thoughts?
Good times.
Only what I just said a minute ago, which is, again, watch the movie for Halston Sage and check her out on the Orville and check her out. I guess she's got a new show that I haven't seen, but I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, why don't you save it for your Halston Sage podcast?
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
Fleabag Motel fantasy.
Any other final thoughts, Jank?
I mean, this does make me understand that whole Mortis thing a little bit better too, because at that time when I read that story, I had no idea who the fuck that Dazzler even had a sister. So at least now I have some context.
And by the way, I panned down in the letters pages called Dazzling Dispatches.
Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, we should read letters too on the show. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Dear Dazzlers. I love that they would always print the person's name and their street address.
Yeah, I know. You never do that nowadays.
You could just drive around murdering people.
Did you guys ever have a letter published?
No, I never wrote one.
No.
I wrote two of them, one to G.I. Joe and then one probably to Transformers. Never had the courage to send them. And then finally, the first one I ever mailed got published in New X-Men number 117, which was, I was reacting to Grant Morrison's first issue, and they published it in the third issue. Yep.
Wow.
They didn't post mine, which was, this is crap. Bring back the actual X-Men.
You know what mine was? It was, this is the best issue of the series in the series history. Wow. And that's probably why it got published.
Yeah, I wonder why it got published.
Yeah.
Oh, serious, though. Anyway. Oh, I remember you, Kevin Jank. You were the one online who responded when I posted that quote online on a chat room. There was someone that said, you know, and there you go, the dangers of smoking crack. And now I remember it was you that said that. Anyway.
Could have been.
But we learned last week that crack isn't dangerous at all.
Exactly.
It doesn't nope.
It won't kill you. Yeah.
All right. All right, anyway. So now, next week, it is time to return to the world's greatest superheroes. We're going to do, the first time ever, we're going to review an appearance by The Flash.
Wow, we haven't done The Flash yet?
I don't think so. Maybe a cameo.
Yeah, we did like Old Man Flash and like, you know, those Justice Society deals that won Justice League. And then we also did Flash and Crisis on Infinite Earths because he died at the beginning.
Oh, that doesn't count. But anyway, this is one of those ones you love, Mike Dell. An 80-pager. This is.
Oh my God! What are you doing to him?
Flash Spectacular 1978, subtitled DC Special Series, Volume 2, Number 11.
80 came out with monthly Flash books that were just regular sized for 20 years in there that you could pick from.
Now wait a minute, Mike. Is this 80 pages of Flash, or is it like a bunch of stories and we can just read the Flash?
I think there's other characters in there. I think there's other stories.
Well, let's just read the Flash.
if you insist, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
But anyway,
Mike Dell's only going to read the one about the Flash. So
yeah, 80 pages.
Yeah, that's extreme.
Extreme. Anyway, so thank you for joining us, Kevin Jank.
Sure.
And like we said, next time you're on, we'll give you a break. But the next time you're on, we'll let you pick the book.
All right.
Yeah.
Woo! So you can hear every episode of Flea Market Fantasy on Stitcher, Spotify, or iTunes under Comic Book Syndicate. You can also follow us on Comic Book Syndicate, the Twitter feed, the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, and the Comic Book Syndicate website. Every week we review a different Bronze Age comic. 1 week I pick, 1 week Mike Dell picks, and sometimes Kevin Jank picks. So until next week, disperse!